Hello, my name is Coach Henry Adelman. I'm making this video to take the opportunity now to kind of share with you my story, my background, and my coaching philosophy. It all starts at Willamette University. I attended there from 2012 to 2016 and played on the football team there as a linebacker. My junior and senior year, I was a team captain, and my senior year, I was an all-conference player. At Willamette University, I got my degree in exercise science. I knew well before getting to Willamette that I wanted to be a coach as a career at some capacity. This kind of stems from my love of athletics, and I knew that I wasn't naturally gifted enough to really be a professional athlete. So I pursued that career in coaching, and I also have a love and an affinity for fitness. And so I felt that being a strength conditioning coach would kind of meet all that terminology. I also am very competitive, and so being at the highest level of play, whether that's collegiate or professional, is my hopes and dreams going forward. So from after graduating Willamette in 2016, I got my first coaching job as a linebackers coach at a small school in North Dakota called the Dakota College of Botno. This was in Botno, North Dakota. When I was originally there, I was supposed to just be a linebackers coach. I shortly realized that they had no formal strength conditioning program. I went to their head football coach and I asked him if that's something that he would allow me to do, or if that's something he'd be interested in. And he said yes, of course. So he kind of added that responsibility to my plate, and I began working with the football athletes. Working with those football athletes at the time, we were in the preseason approaching camp and getting ready for our season. And so that type of training looked like injury mitigation concepts along with some light conditioning to make sure that they were prepared for the tumultuous season coming ahead. Other coaches on campus from other sports kind of noticed what I was doing with the team. They liked the way I coached. They saw what kinds of things I was coaching them in, and they recruited me to work with their athletes as well. Soon after, I was given the title of head strength conditioning coach at Dakota College at Botno, and I was overseeing men's and women's basketball, ice hockey, softball, baseball, and of course football. I knew that I wanted to get into a Division I program, and I also understood that it took what it took, and that I had to get into an internship. So I started applying for internships late into our basketball season at Dakota College at Botno, and I landed a spot here at Fresno State University. At Fresno State, I joined on in January of 2017, assisting with football under Coach Andy Ward, and I quickly worked my way up. So I went from a volunteer internship position to a paid internship position to a graduate assistant position. During my paid internship, I got to work with football, and I got to get my own position group, the big scale athletes consisting of the tight ends and the linebackers. I got to help and develop the programming for speed, agility, and strength for them. And then I also assisted with baseball, predominantly pitching athletes in baseball. From there, becoming a GA, I got my degree in education with a specialty in curriculum and instruction. I was granted the opportunity to work with my own teams, and I've worked with wrestling, women's volleyball, women's soccer, equestrian, and I've assisted with football and baseball at my time at Fresno. I've learned a lot under some really extraordinary people here at Fresno, and one of the things that I got my chance to develop here was my coaching philosophy. My coaching philosophy consists of 3 pillars. These pillars are athletic performance, injury prevention, and mental discipline. Athletic performance, that's the bread and butter of what we do as strength coaches, making sure that we have annual periodization and progressive overload concepts to ensure increases in hypertrophy, strength, endurance, speed, acceleration, and power. And I use the tier system and triphasic concepts within that organized tier system to kind of elicit some of those strength and power benefits, along with the injury preventative side of things, Injury prevention in my program, I'll use volleyball and women's soccer as kind of my prime examples there. One thing that those two sports are very susceptible to is knee injuries, and one way from an injury prevention aspect that we mitigated the likelihood of sustaining a knee injury was decelerative concepts or landing mechanics, bilaterally and unilaterally, kind of trying to fight and combat the valgus knee shift that a lot of our athletes have by teaching them proper landing positions, and also working on strength in those positions from unilateral resistance training exercises, and then also highly incorporating the posterior chain, making sure that we are lessening the likelihood of soft tissue injuries by increasing our core stability and our ability to activate the glutes, and then also lessening the likelihood of any knee overuse injuries by strengthening the hamstrings as well as the posterior chain development within there as well. Another big piece of that was the hamstring work, kind of working towards equalizing the quad to hamstring ratio to ensure that we wouldn't have as much shear force or overuse or overstress injuries on the knee. And then the other side of things is mental discipline as well. Mental discipline within my program, it doesn't look like, forms of punishment or forms of discipline necessarily. It's just kind of making sure that our athletes have a great mindset, they're positive towards one another, they're holding themselves and each other accountable in certain situations, and one big piece of this is goal setting. Goal setting, we do this through SMART goals, which is a sports psychology concept. These are specific, measurable, action-oriented, realistic, and time-constrained goals. The athletes are asked to write these out, and they get rough drafts and copies back to them to ensure that they are putting as much time and specificity into these goals as they can. And I get a copy and they get a copy, so I can hold them accountable to their goals, whether that be training or competition, and they can hold themselves accountable to those goals as well. This is just a little bit about me. I have a passion for coaching. I'm a natural leader, and I'm highly competitive, and I think all three of these aspects of my coaching brush off on my athletes. So that's just a little about me, Henry Adelman. Hope you guys enjoyed.